But I think if you want to take as many shortcuts as you want, I don't know if you want to take as many shortcuts as you want, but if you don't have any knowledge, you could use like pre pre-made loops. Like I'll like go through a couple loops. Anything that sounds good to you, like you use it. Like like at least if I needed to start, like if I needed to make a song right now type stuff. Just find something that like speaks to you. It does. This one right here. But can you make a whole song out of it? That's the thing. You think you can make a whole song out of this one guitar loop? I don't know, probably not. I mean, if it's like something that is emotionally attractive to you, you could probably do it. You know, like I just asked that question, just like maybe you can. Like, so that's pretty much what it is. Like, you find something that really resonates with you, like on a human level. If you really don't want to do much work, I mean, it's already 162. I could like make it in like into 8 bars, so it'd be like 165. And so from there, a lot of the time I would just like loop up the 8 bars and like try to find like potential melodies or anything when it comes to lyrics. I'll like try to figure it out. But since I've been making so many beats now and I want to like keep the habit of doing things to completion, I'm just gonna make sure that it's right here. So this would be like more the intro. So like it starts off like this. And then this is where the drums come in. Normally, I would, if I was really just like pushed and compelled to like make a song, I would just find like a loop. I'm making like a trap kind of loop, so I would just go to the instruments here. This is me using Splice. So Splice is like, it's not required because you can program your own drums, and I'll probably program some drums too. But yeah, all you need, if you have that loop, the melody loop, then you can find some drums that fit. I'll do between like 130 and like 170. That should be fine. I could do something that from 85 or something, but this should be good. Uh, Try something similar to that guitar thing. It sounds really nice. Yeah, yeah. Find some like loop that like speaks to you. You know, even if it's 8 bars, you can start off using that as the intro. Like that introduces the song. Like that's already the thing that initially spoke to you. So it makes sense for it to be the thing that introduces the song. Uh, if you're like into like techniques, yeah. If you're into like techniques, I would say like change the sound up a little bit. But if it really speaks to you and it's unchanged, it's fine too. Like then you kind of choose what like kind of rhythm that you want on it, and I think the sample has its own rhythm, but I'm gonna do like a trap kind of drum feel. And this isn't to say that you can't program your own drums. It's just that just to get the feel and the vibe, to get some production so you can begin the songwriting process. You just want to have it simple and straightforward, especially if you're the only one like working on like a piece of piece of music. So you have this section with a bunch of percussion underneath. So I mean, so you got two waveforms. I would say, like, for me, you might be getting a guitar soon, so you want to try improvising some stuff like that. Yeah, there's a learning curve when it comes to playing instruments. You could learn more about chords and like different progressions, and that will help ease in the learning curve. When it comes to different instruments, once you learn those, you could figure out the strumming patterns too. So it's a possibility. The possibilities are pretty endless. Like, you know, learning like the theory behind music, and then like the instrumentation, like figuring out like how to apply the theory on the instrument that you're playing. Osu turning the prizes of the guitar. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so I'm just gonna mix these together. These, you just gotta win that. Yeah, and then from here, like I already have, this is like the hook section, so like I'm gonna make it as busy as I can. I'm gonna just construct it. So I'm gonna use a bass line as well. It's like ES2, and I already know what key I am in. I think it's C sharp major. I want to double check. I'm using a lot of advanced tools, but this is what I would do. Like if I was forced to write a song, like if you told me like you gotta write a song in like an hour, this is what I would do. E flat minor. I have like some cheat codes, I guess, just like to like reference. E flat minors. I thought it was D flat major, but it's not. It's G flat or F sharp major. Just want to double check what it is again. E flat minor. It keeps saying that's E flat minor, so it's either G flat major or D flat major. Those are the two things, because it swaps between G sharp major, or no, yeah, it swaps between E flat minor and G sharp minor. So it definitely includes like a G flat. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna just go to E flat on the bass line. Even before I do that though, I'm gonna just take some of the transients and like just double the kick drum. So double the kick drum. I'm gonna go into the piano roll and remove any snares. Snares are usually on 3, so this snare is removed. There's no snare here. There's a snare on 12, snare on 13. There's one on the end of 3 right here, just to bounce. I could like take this out. I'll like I mean, this process I think is relatively straightforward. because this is 8 bars, I want to like make sure that it's a complete phrase. And I'm gonna slide these down here and go to E flat 1. There's these right here. I'm gonna swap out some of this stuff. But yeah, just doubling the kick drum like with the 808 is like pretty straightforward. Like it gives it a little bit more heft. Oops, I messed up on the end of 3 here, so this is the thing I messed up on. It is not really that necessary. I'm just gonna do this. It is a complete phrase now. I keep messing up this end of 3. Is it right here? Finally got it there. I'm just gonna modify it just slightly, just to give it a little bit more of a melodic feel to it in the bass line. I'll even go down a little bit, just to give it like a little bit. I'll go back up actually. I don't really need it. I'll go up just like to give it more of a progression there. It's gonna take away some of the channels that we don't need. And I'm gonna do the same thing right here, just like copy it over. So this hook section is already made. I just literally made it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all the special sauce that I have here, like 3 channels so far. Ideally, this is like you programming your own drums. It's just a substitute for now. That's ideally. You don't always have to program your own drums, but it's good to be in the habit of doing so. Because you can isolate certain sounds. I would take some time to process some of these sounds and these channels, but for now, just like keep it as simple as I can. So this section is not the hook anymore. It's the verse. So you could do and create some contrast and variation by adding an effect like a low pass filter. This is a pretty straightforward effect. It's like my go-to effect when it comes to like differentiating the verse and the hook. Sometimes I'll like take away the way this is structured. I'll take away like a bass line. I'll even like mute this too. And starting from, let me go here, measure 17. You get a feel like for how the hook leads into the verse. And there's no percussion, you start some contrast, and then you slowly build up the energy with this drum pattern again. You could add the bass line in again, just to build up that energy. And then we're going back to the hook again with full energy. So we got this full energy hook. once again, we could just like copy like what we did for the first verse and into the second verse. But this time in the second verse, we're just gonna keep it playing, like keep the drum loop playing, but we're not gonna hit the bass. And so the second verse is done. You could do a couple things after the second verse. After the second verse, you could just do a bridge, which could be similar to the intro, but you just have a bridge of just the sample playing by itself, and then you just have a hook at the end. And I think the bridge with the sample playing by itself is kind of boring, so I'll use the bass line since we didn't have the bass line before. Because you got like a 2-minute beat or something. It probably took, I don't know how long it took really to make the beat, maybe 15 minutes or so. And then I'll have to add an outro too. You could do other things. The outro, like with just the sample playing by itself, is like pretty standard, straightforward. What I could do is like have the intro be another channel, and I could group these channels together so I can keep track of like what I do with my sample. That way, even though I do have individual EQ plugins on the channels, I can automate a bigger or wider equalizer right here. And this is what I'm going to automate. I'm going to automate a high pass filter. This is a little bit advanced, just like a high pass filter, just to get the quality of the production up there and give it some dynamic range. It's not too dynamic. You don't want to like get bogged into it, but just having just that high pass or low cut filter in the beginning like really like gives it like a different feel. Like you'll like slowly like hear it transform into the full song. So like starting from the intro, you're cutting out all these low frequencies, and then you're introducing the bass as well as the drum pattern or drum kit that you choose. Could do it a little bit more subtle. I want to slide it over here too. Just gonna do the same thing just to get the outro nice and clean as well. What I'd like to do either on the second verse or like going into the second hook, I'm gonna start creating some instruments. So I have a lot of MIDI as well, so like that's kind of not really problematic. Let me delete some of the stuff. So I made like temporary changes by muting some of the regions. But now that I'm adding a lot more automation, I'm gonna grab this MIDI right here. So the bass line that I have, I'm gonna just name it. It's like 808 pattern right here. Since I use the same 8-bar loop throughout for all of my basses, I'm just gonna go through and replace all the MIDI with audio regions. I'm gonna mute this too. What I'm gonna do also is I'm gonna hide this. start off with this high pass filter. And also with contrast, you want to add more tension too. So either on the first or second hook, I'm going to create a part where there's a lot more tension. So I'm going to mute or take away some of the waveforms just to like grab some of the energy and suck it out of the verse like really quickly before I enter the hook, just to create more of a contrast. Yeah, and then just from there, just like overly like you could like do fades when you're like leaving the bass line, just to, like give it a little bit more of a smoother transition between song sections, like just things like that. And then once you have like this piece of production, you can keep adding more contrast to some of the audio as well. Like you could add more stops. Like you add a stop before when the bass line comes in, just like a quick stop. Like this one is a little bit smaller, so like this verse is like. Things like that. Like if you just want to like produce a bunch of beats like this all day, like just a quick, I don't know if this is a type beat or a type of beat, but it's like a pretty simple, straightforward type beat with all the variations in the different song sections. Just straightforward. I would say if you're looking to make a song as quickly and as efficiently as possible, using this as a template would be a good idea. This is where I would start. If I was like, damn, if I really needed to make a song, this is how I would start. Then from there, I could like isolate parts of the production and use those parts to fully flesh out the song. So I need a chorus. That's going to be the main part of the song, you know, like the chorus. And I'm going to use the chorus like 3 different times. Oh, you're gonna work off of it? Yeah. Just like make sure that you have contrast when it comes to the different song sections. I do my sections differently. I do like an intro into the chorus, into the verse, into the chorus, into another verse, into a bridge, into a chorus, into an outro. But you could do different song structures. You could start with the intro, into the verse, into the chorus. You could do like an intro, a verse, a pre-chorus, and then a chorus. Like you can like flesh out different stuff. You can add different bridges. You could do 3 verses. I don't know. Songs don't really have 3 verses anymore, but you could do whatever you want. But I mean, this is like a simple template, you know, like in the outro, I want to hear the outro. So like this bridge. If I had another, actually, I was gonna play to the bridge. So starting on measure 97, right? And then you're just gonna hear it slowly fade out. You can add a fade to the last region. You see how like it kind of like the high pass filter almost acts as if it's a fade. You could fade out too just to give it more of a dramatic effect. But other than that, starting at measure 97, this outro is pretty good. And then it just goes right back in. There are other ways to do like dynamic or make that dynamic adjustments. You could initialize like a channel strip and like add this channel strip to the track, like the session, and you could automate some of the volume, like the dBs and stuff, like, and like make it. That's I sometimes I do that too, where it's like I know this is an intro and I'll go down like 3 dB just to like give it more of a dramatic contrast, you know, just give it more of a dramatic contrast. It starts off softer and it slowly builds up over time till when you hit the hook, like you're really engaged. And then what I would do, I would just identify where that verse begins and like make sure that the energy in the verse is slightly lower than the energy present in the hooks. So like just like slide it down a little bit. You know, everything is like to create more contrast. You know, you're like creating more contrast. It makes it more for a more dynamic song and it's more pleasing and people generally like it. I'm gonna even slide this down a little bit just to keep a similar level. And then it hits hard again on measure 41 where I have the second chorus and then go back to this verse thing again. Just identify the endpoints of the verse. So going back to the verse, I go down like the same amount, like 2 to 3 dB, and then make sure that when you end the verse, it's subtle stuff, but it does make a difference. Or you just have that. And then at the end, usually what I like to do at the end is I like to go down a lot of dBs, but this one is already really, really faded. So like I'll divide it a bunch of times. And I'll just fade it out. Normally I'll be like 12 dB, but I'm going to put it like 6 or something. It's already exaggerated, but you know, it's just like nice to like have like, it should be fine. But yeah, I mean, as an artist, I always get caught up in like I'm gonna write lyrics, I'm gonna do this, so I might not end up like with this waveform or this very super structured, already baked in song sections, already baked in verses. That's like as a producer, you know, like you want to kind of aim for something that's dynamic, that someone could rap on, that has like there's space for a vocal, there's a bunch of cool stuff going on already with the composition and the arrangement. That's some basic stuff. You can add more contrast. I like to add contrast to the bass line a lot of the time. So I'll have maybe 4 bars at a time playing through some variation of the bass line, and then I'll swap to another variation of the bass line on the next 4 bars just to create like contrast within the hook or contrast within the verse or contrast just within the song section in and of itself. So like you have contrast throughout the whole arrangement, so contrast between the different sections of the song and then contrast within the song sections, so it feels like you're going through the song section and then going to the next section of the song. It's like really nice. I usually add just like a little subtle distortion effect, just to give it a little bit more more of an impact on the second 4 bars, and I'll take the gain down just to compensate. That's what I'd be doing. I mean, it's the verse. I might not do the same thing in the verse. I might just keep the verse the same way. But this hook I'm just going to recopy the hook. And this hook right here. All right. So I kind of am running into a problem. So I have like 3 different hooks, but they're all like the same. It's a problem, kind of. I mean, you've already had the basic song structure already. There's nothing really that you need to do, but it's nice to have some variation even within like the different sections. If you have a hook and it's the same sound and hook as the last time, it's not that dope. It doesn't progress. There's a concept in movie and storytelling where it's like 3-act structure. So with three different hooks, ideally this act 1, and the second hook is act 2, and then the third hook is act 3. So you kind of want to build the hooks a little bit more, so you get this like amazing hook, or you can get the climax of the hooks in like the middle of the song. But since it's the first hook, I could do a subtle automation when it comes to the volume, or we could do something else. We could do a sweep. We could do a bunch of other things. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just make sure. I'm just gonna do the same. I'm gonna do exactly what I just said I was gonna do. Just keep it subtle. Just like not really like it's like the hook for sure, but it's not the main hook. And I'll keep that right there. Just like keep it right there. So the next 2 hooks are gonna be louder. They're gonna have a little bit more of an impact. Or if you really want to make it like dramatic, you can start off this intro with the high pass filter, like this little sweep going on. And then when you drop the beat, it's not really there yet. And this is here, like if I was really gung-ho about writing a song, like this is the middle hook, the act 2 hook. So I'll start like songwriting and generating hook ideas using this hook or this part of the song, like the middle part of the song. And I'll like either, if I have a microphone connected, I would just like hum a bunch of stuff. This is 16 bars. You can like, you have different strategies. You could do like a pre-chorus into a chorus, or just like a whole chorus. That's 16 bars. Or do something that repeats 8. You have just different choices that you can make. I think the pre-chorus into the chorus would work really well because of the first chorus or first chorus section, hook section, the way it builds up. So that's just how I would start a song. I don't know if I want to finish the song or anything like that, but I would start a song if I was like really gung ho about like getting a song. I would make sure I'd get 8 loops, 8 bar loop, 8 bar melody that resonates with me. It could be from a third party sample source, or if you want to make up your own 8 bar melody, 8 bar loop, 8 bar chord progression, you could do the solo yourself. I'll get some drums. You could get a third party loop for the drums, or you can make your own like drum kit, drum pattern, drum rhythm. 8 bars, 4 bars could work too. You could just like loop that up as long as the rhythm section is relatively stable. People can kind of expect like where the kicks and the snares are hitting and the snares are consistent. That'd be fine. And then I'll just get a bass line. The bass line pretty straightforward. You could double the kicks, or you can create your own bass line based on the melody. If you constructed the melody, even if you have it, you could still construct the bass line based on the melody. And then from there, just do some of the arranging, just basic arranging. You know, the intro, the hook, the verse, the hook again, the verse, hook or bridge, or anything like that. And then that's when I would, from there, like I would start the songwriting process. You know, maybe starting with the hook or maybe starting with the verse, depending on how I feel at the time.